You land a solid job, you save for years, you finally hit 6 figures in your bank account, and you think, I'm ready, I can finally buy a house. So you walk into a lender's office full of confidence, and they tell you, you don't qualify. Not even close. How is that possible? Because in 2026, a $500,000 house is not what it used to be. And the math behind actually affording one will absolutely shock you. I'm Ron. Welcome to Ron Invest, where we break down the numbers that the banks and the media don't want to make simple for you. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now and smash the like button if you want more real financial breakdowns like this one. Today, we are going deep on the $500,000 house, who can truly afford it in 2026, what the real monthly costs look like, and why so many people who think they're ready are not even in the ballpark. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the number everyone fixates on, $500,000. $500,000. Sounds like a lot, right? And it is a lot. But here's the brutal truth about 2026. In most major metro areas across the United States, $500,000 is not a luxury home. It is not even a particularly large home. In many cities, it is a starter home. A modest 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in a decent neighborhood. That alone should tell you everything about the state of the housing market right now. So let's talk about WHO can actually afford it. And I mean truly afford it, not just squeak by and hope nothing ever goes wrong. The income question. What do you actually need to earn? The standard rule that most financial experts and lenders use is called the 28-36 rule. Here's how it works. Your monthly housing payment, including your mortgage, property taxes, and homeowner's insurance, should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. And your total debt, that means your housing costs plus any car payments, student loans, credit cards, should not exceed 36% of your gross monthly income. So let's do the math for a $500,000 home in 2026. First, the down payment. The standard conventional loan requires 20% down. On a $500,000 house, that is $100,000 up front. $100,000 cash before you even talk about a mortgage. Now, if you put down less than 20%, you trigger something called private mortgage insurance, PMI. That is an additional monthly cost, typically between $100 and $300 per month, that protects the lender, not you, in case you default. So putting less down does not just mean a bigger loan. It means extra fees on top of that bigger loan. Let's assume you have the full $100,000 down payment. That means you are financing $400,000. Now, what is the interest rate in 2026? Mortgage rates have remained elevated compared to the historic lows of 2020 and 2021. We are looking at rates in the 6.5% to 7.5% range for a 30-year fixed mortgage, depending on your credit score and lender. Let's use 7% as our working number. It is realistic, and it makes the math clean. At 7% interest on a $400,000 loan over 30 years, your monthly mortgage payment, principal and interest only, is approximately $2,661 per month. Write that down, $2,661, and we are just getting started. The costs, nobody talks about enough here, is where so many buyers get blindsided. They get pre-approved for the mortgage, they calculate that payment, and they think that is the number. It is not. Let's add what actually gets charged every month. Property taxes vary by state and county, but the national average in 2026 is roughly 1.1% of the home's value per year. On a $500,000 home, that is $5,500 per year, or about $458 per month. Homeowner's insurance. You are looking at an average of $1,500 to $2,500 per year in 2026, especially with insurance premiums rising due to climate-related claims in many parts of the country. Let's call it $2,000 per year. That's $167 per month. Now, if your home is in a neighborhood with a homeowners association, an HOA, you could be looking at anywhere from $100 to $600 per month in additional fees. Let's keep it conservative and say your neighborhood has no HOA. So right now, your real monthly housing cost is mortgage principal and interest, $2,661. Property taxes, $458. Homeowner's insurance, $167. Total, $3,286 per month, every single month, just to keep the lights on and the bank happy. And that number does not include utilities. It does not include maintenance. It does not include the new roof you will eventually need or the HVAC system that will fail the moment the warranty expires, because that is just how houses work. Financial planners typically recommend budgeting 1% to 2% of your home's value per year for maintenance and repairs. On a $500,000 home, that is $5,000 to $10,000 per year, or $417 to $833 per month that you should be setting aside. Let's take the conservative end. Add $417 for maintenance reserves. Now you are at $3,703 per month in true housing costs. So what income do you need? Let's apply that 28% rule. If $3,703 is 28% of your gross monthly income, then your gross monthly income needs to be $3,703 divided by 0.28. That is $13,225 per month. Multiply by 12, and you need a gross annual income of approximately $158,700 per year. $158,700 per year, just to comfortably afford a $500,000 home by conventional financial standards. Now, let's put that in context. According to recent data, the median household income in the United States is roughly $80,000 to $85,000 per year. That means the typical American household earns about half of what you need to comfortably afford a $500,000 home. Half. And remember, that $158,700 figure assumes you have no other significant debt, no car payments, no student loans, no credit card balances. Because the moment you add any of those, that 36% total debt ceiling kicks in, and you need to earn even more to stay within healthy limits. What if you have debt? Let's say you have a car payment of $500 per month and student loan payments of $400 per month. That is $900 per month in existing debt. Under the 36% rule, your total debt, housing plus other, should not exceed 36% of gross monthly income. If your housing cost is $3,286 per month and your other debt is $900, your total is $4,186. For $4,186 to be 36% of your income, you need a gross monthly income of $11,628, or roughly $139,500 per year. But here is where it gets tricky. The 28% rule for housing alone would still require $3,286 to be no more than 28% of your income, meaning you need at least $11,736 per month, or $140,800 per year, just from the housing side. So you are still in that $140,000 to $160,000 income range, even with existing debt factored in. The debt does not lower the bar. It raises it in terms of financial pressure. The down payment problem. Let's talk about something that stops most buyers before they even get to the mortgage conversation. The down payment. $100,000. For most Americans, this is an almost impossible number to save while also paying rent. Because here is the cruel irony of the housing market in 2026. The cost of renting in most major cities is so high that it leaves renters with very little left over to save for a down payment. The average rent for a two-bedroom apartment in a mid-size American city is now between $1,800 and $2,500 per month. In larger metros like New York, Los Angeles, Miami, or Seattle, forget it. You are looking at $3,000 to $4,500 per month for a modest apartment. If you are paying $2,500 a month in rent and earning $100,000 a year, which puts you above the national median, your take-home pay after taxes is roughly $6,500 to $7,000 per month. After rent, you have $4,000 to $4,500 left. And from that, you need to cover food, transportation, health insurance, utilities, subscriptions, student loans, and everything else life throws at you. How much can you realistically save per month? Maybe $500? Maybe $1,000 if you are disciplined and lucky. At $1,000 per month, it takes you over 8 years to save $100,000. And that is assuming home prices do not continue to rise during that time. This is the trap. This is why homeownership feels increasingly out of reach for an entire generation. What lenders actually look at. Now let's talk about what happens when you walk into a lender's office, because qualifying for a mortgage is not just about income. Lenders evaluate 4 major factors. First, credit score. To get the best mortgage rates in 2026, you need a credit score of 740 or higher. If your score is below 620, most conventional lenders will not touch you. Every drop in your credit score can add 0.25% to 0.5% to your interest rate, which over 30 years translates to tens of thousands of extra dollars. Second, debt-to-income ratio. We already talked about this. Lenders want your total monthly debt obligations, including the new mortgage, to stay below 43% to 45% of your gross monthly income, with the most favorable terms going to those below 36%. Third, employment history. Lenders want to see at least 2 years of stable employment in the same field. If you recently changed careers, went self-employed, or have gaps in your employment history, expect additional scrutiny and documentation requirements. Fourth, assets and reserves. Beyond the down payment, many lenders want to see that you have reserves, money left in savings or investments after the closing. Typically, 2 to 6 months of mortgage payments sitting in a liquid account. On a $500,000 home, that is another $6,000 to $20,000 they want to see in your account, beyond your down payment and closing costs. Speaking of closing costs, let's not forget those. Closing costs on a home purchase typically run between 2% and 5% of the loan amount. On a $400,000 mortgage, that is $8,000 to $20,000 due at closing, on top of your $100,000 down payment. So, when all is said and done, you might need $120,000 or more in cash just to close the deal on a $500,000 home. Who actually can afford it in 2026? So let's paint a realistic picture of who is actually buying $500,000 homes in 2026. Scenario 1, the high-income single earner or couple. A software engineer, physician, attorney, finance professional, or senior corporate executive earning $150,000 or more per year. Or a dual-income household where 2 people together earn $130,000 to $160,000 combined. These buyers have the income, they have spent years building credit, and if they are disciplined, they have managed to accumulate a down payment, possibly with help from family equity, stock compensation, or savings from a lower cost of living area. Scenario 2, the move-up buyer, someone who already owns a home they bought years ago, before prices exploded, and is selling that home to use the equity as a down payment on the $500,000 property. This buyer does not need to save $100,000 from scratch. Their existing home does the heavy lifting. Scenario 3, the gift or inheritance buyer, someone who received financial help from family, either a cash gift for the down payment or an inheritance that makes the initial hurdle possible, even if their income alone would not quite get them there. Scenario 4, the investor or cash buyer. About 25% to 30% of homes in recent years have been purchased with all cash, primarily by real estate investors, corporations, and high-net-worth individuals. These buyers bypass the mortgage qualification process entirely, and that, right there, tells you a lot about why the housing market feels so unfair right now. Because for regular, working people saving from their paycheck, the path to that $500,000 home is genuinely, mathematically brutal. Is there any hope? Strategies that actually work now? I am not going to leave you just with the harsh reality without giving you actual strategies, because there are paths forward. They are not easy, but they exist. Strategy 1. Target lower cost markets. A $500,000 budget goes dramatically further in cities like Cleveland, Memphis, Indianapolis, or Tulsa compared to San Francisco, Boston, or Miami. If remote work is an option for you, this single decision can change the entire equation. You can buy a genuinely nice home in a mid-size market for $250,000 to $300,000, suddenly making the math workable on a $100,000 salary. Strategy 2, FHA loans for first-time buyers. FHA loans allow down payments as low as 3.5% for buyers with a credit score of 580 or higher. On a $500,000 home, that is $17,500 down instead of $100,000. The trade-off is that you will pay mortgage insurance for the life of the loan and your monthly payment will be higher, but it dramatically lowers the upfront barrier. Strategy 3. Down payment assistance programs. Many states, counties, and cities offer down payment assistance programs, grants, or low-interest second loans for first-time buyers meeting income requirements. These programs are often underused because buyers simply do not know they exist. Research what is available in your specific state. Some programs offer $10,000 to $30,000 in assistance. Strategy 4. House hacking. Buy a multi-unit property, a duplex, triplex, or small apartment building. Live in one unit and rent out the others. The rental income offsets your mortgage, dramatically changing the affordability math. This is one of the most powerful wealth-building strategies in real estate, and it is available to anyone willing to be a landlord. Strategy 5. Build your income first. This one sounds obvious, but it is worth saying directly. If your income today does not support a $500,000 home purchase, the answer may simply be to delay, strategically, while aggressively growing your income, reducing debt, and building your savings rate. 2 to 3 years of intentional financial moves can completely change your mortgage qualification picture. The bigger picture. Why is this happening? Let's zoom out for a moment. Because the question is not just, can you afford a $500,000 house? The deeper question is, why is $500,000 the baseline for a modest home in the first place? The answer comes down to several compounding factors. 1. Supply has been chronically low. The United States has been underbuilding homes for over a decade, particularly entry-level and affordable housing. There are simply not enough homes to meet demand. 2. Institutional and investor buying has absorbed significant inventory, particularly in the $200,000 to $400,000 price range that would otherwise serve first-time buyers. 3. The pandemic-era interest rate shock had a lock-in effect. Homeowners who locked in 2.5% to 3% mortgage rates in 2020 and 2021 have almost no financial incentive to sell and buy a new home at 7%. So existing inventory has stayed off the market, reducing supply further. 4. Construction costs, labor, land, and materials have risen sharply, making it economically difficult to build new, affordable homes profitably. These structural forces are not going away overnight, and that means the affordability challenge for the $500,000 home is not just a 2026 problem. It is likely to persist.